Hello, in this video we're going to be looking at how we create a grid and or contour map. As reference, we have to have a boundary around the field before we can create a grid or a contour map. And we also have to have a grid contour map before we are able to produce a variable rate application map. Rightio, so we have now got the boundary around the outside of the field, and we've either edited it and make sure it's okay. We now want to create a contour map. The first thing that I would look at is, if I haven't done it already, is just to remove some strange data from these from the sort of point down here. So what I'm going to do is highlight these points, and then right mouse click, edit the layer first, edit them, hit delete, and make sure they've gone. We need to get rid of some more. So now all those points are outside or inside the boundary, and so this is something that I may well have done before, but I noticed we've got some points here. So this is where we start to have issues with our boundary as to whether it's in the right place or not, and this is why making sure that we have a good boundary is important. But I'm happy with what we've got there, so I've saved and closed that, having changed the points, and I will now go down to the view that I want to create the contour map with. So I'll look at dry yield reconciled. That's my map. So we saw a slight change in the color there, with the reconciled data over and above the dry yield unreconciled data. What I need to do now is look at the views. I'm going to click the button here on the left hand side. It's got a yellow cross next to it, and this is my new view, and this allows me to create a grid map or a contour map depending on which I want to do. So I'm going to create a contour map to start off with, and we can generally leave the defaults in there. Cell size 15 meters, method is averaging. We don't want to be filling blanks. We want to have about 80% smoothing on it. This is where we're averaging the data, and about 80% is right. Minimum hectareage, I'm going to go for a hectare here. That means if we have holes in the field where we've got creeks or gullies or areas that we haven't harvested, we want to make sure that minimum area has got something in it, if we have a lot of creeks and the like. So anything below a hectare, it's not going to work with. If you have it on 0, then it's going to average absolutely everything out, which may be too much detail for you. But anyway, the best thing to do is have a look and try and looking at these cell sizes and the processes yourself, so you get an idea of what you're working with. So we'll click OK here, and it'll do the processing, and what we see now is quite a large area of 2.4 tons, 2.4 to 3.6 tons. Got a little swathe here of 3.7 to 4.3. So let's just have a look at the minimum area and put that down to 0 and see what the difference is. Here we get a lot more data. So this field is actually only 4.3 hectares in size. So we do need a little bit more detail in there than having a hectare. So as you see, we've just played around with two settings, and that's what I would advise you to do as well. The one thing we probably got here is maybe too many legends and too many scales. We may want to put that down to 3, maybe 4 layers, and that's why we're not seeing a great deal of difference in the field as well, and that's something that we want to consider. So what we've got now is we've got our two, we can see that we've got our two areas of averaged out data. If we want to keep them, great, that's not a problem at all. If we want to get rid of them, all we have to do is right mouse click and then go delete view, and we can get them from there. So that's how we create a contour view. If I then want to create a grid view, I tick the grid box at the top and then select OK, and it'll process the data to create grids from which we can work. Takes a little bit longer on this occasion because we're working with no hectares again. and that we don't get the choice when we're working with the grid grid scaling to change the contour rings, because it is just in 15 meter blocks that it is working. So very similar to what we had before, but these are now working in 15 meter grids rather than contours, and this may be more appropriate for your sprayer or your fertilizer spreader, depending on what you do. So that's how we create a grid and a contour map.